Hear me, Chairwoman?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, welcome and congratulations on your excellent work in Boston. Let me begin by telling you what you already know, and that is that uh, tens of millions of workers in this country are working at starvation wages. The gap between the very, very rich and everybody else is growing wider. Half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. You mentioned that in the city of Boston, you have a $15 an hour minimum wage. I gather and understand that in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you're moving toward a $15 an hour minimum wage. How does that work for the people in Boston and Massachusetts? And is that a concept that you are sympathetic to?
It's working. I think it's helping people be able to put a little more money in their pocket as minimum wage. In the city of Boston, we actually have something else called the living wage, which is higher than the minimum wage, and we work on city contracts to try and push that. When I think about the minimum wage on a federal level, it's been 11 years since we've raised the minimum wage. The average family on a current minimum wage salary with the federal government is roughly $15,000 a year. It's impossible to raise a family of one on that, never mind a family of two, three, or four. So I definitely support raising the minimum wage. I know that President Biden has made that part of his economic plan as well.
Good. You're a union guy, and I think I have a lifetime 100% pro-union voting record. And I believe that if we're going to create a strong middle class in this country, we need to have a strong union movement. We need to make it impossible for employers to act illegally to prevent people from joining unions. Can you tell us what you, as Secretary of Labor, will do to allow working people in this country to exercise their constitutional right to join unions?
Well, I know that, thank you, Senator, for that question. I know that Chairwoman Murray mentioned today about the PRO Act that's going to be filed with her and Leader Schumer. That is one step towards helping union people to organize freely. I do believe in the right of organizing. I do believe in the right of people being able to join a union if they choose to join, if they want to join a union. So I certainly support that.
Okay. In the midst of so many of our people struggling economically, it is no great secret, as Senator Murray mentioned, that women and people of color are often struggling even harder. Do you have some specific ideas as to how we can make real progress in combating systemic racism and sexism and make sure that all of our people, regardless of their gender or the color of their skin, are able to advance economically?
No, absolutely. I think first and foremost, we have to have more conversations around the country. I don't think there's enough conversations going on. I know that in the beginning of the COVID crisis in Boston, one of the things that we saw in healthcare was that people of color, particularly the Black community, was testing at a higher rate of positivity cases in COVID-19. We put together a Health Inequities Task Force. That Health Inequities Task Force led to having conversations around hospitalization and the ability for lack of access to hospitalization and care. That task force is still in existence today and still moving forward. We're working now through across departments, whether it's our Office of Equity, our Office of Economic Development, the Boston Planning and Development Agency, about creating opportunities, whether it's in private development or it's in public development. It's about creating opportunities, and we have to close those gaps. Our country, and I'll speak for Boston, our country, but Boston, we're dealing with a system of systemic racism that we have to continue to address. It's not simply just throwing fancy words out there, but in policies, but it's actually doing the work, rolling up our sleeves. And in our city, I've worked with different organizations, and we have a women's task force groups. We have all kinds of different organizations working with the NAACP, working with the Urban League, working with employers. I've seen it happen in Boston where we all get to the table and there really is very little disagreement at the table. The issue is, how do we move agendas forward? And as I mentioned in my opening statement, I am a proud collaborator, and I don't like top-down pushing on something. I would rather have a conversation about having everyone understand the importance of the issue, whether that's pay equity, whether that's discrimination, whether that's workplace violence. How do we address those issues? So I look forward to working with you, Senator, and the entire Senate, quite honestly, in Congress, but members of this committee, and how we can advance some of the concerns that I'm going to hear today.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you as well. Take care.
Thank you very much, Senator Sanders. We will go